Hi, I'm Ezra Faraz. Welcome to Rappler Talk. Joining us today is RJ David, the co-founder and managing director of OLX Philippines. There's probably a lot of Filipinos out there who also have an idea to start a business that addresses a need like OLX did. What advice do you have for them if they may be hesitant to jump into the startup life?
I always have a belief that the risk appetite of a person is actually inversely proportional of your age. So I always advise someone who was asking when is the right time to start. I always say now, because especially when you're just in your early 20s. When you're in your early 20s, most probably you're single, you don't need a lot of money to be able to support yourself. So you can actually, because when building a startup, the initial months are actually very slow, and most probably you don't have enough, enough salary in a sense to be able to, for example, to feed a family. So if you're single, you're young, you can live by a small amount of money. So it's an advantage. I also advise to do what we call the MVP process, or the Lean Startup process. There's a book called Lean Startup. So all those things can help you validate your idea to find a market fit. So in a way, you don't have to spend so much money, but able to validate if your idea is going to work or not.
In the case of OLX, for those who might be unfamiliar with the concept of MVP, can you explain what the MVP of OLX was? So
the MVP we did was actually not a perfect one, because during that time we still don't know about Lean Startup, about MVP. But the MVP that we have is the simple website that I created at the start. So in a way, when we build the website, we build the most basic functionalities that we can, and then that's what we send to the public and allow the users to use. Then every time that we thought of a new feature to add, for example, we're thinking of the most simple version of that function. Sometimes it's just a survey that we're going to send. So in a way, we're not spending too much time of building a very big thing. Then we will figure out, oh, this is not going to work. Most of the functions that we've created, we know initially that's going to work before we put enough time to develop it. Even now, in the status of the company now, even though we are nearing 10 years, we're still doing a lot of MVPs. So maybe, let's say, only around 10% of the features that we thought are being implemented in OLX, because we've tested, or we do MVP on a lot of the ideas before we implement it.
I see. Can you maybe share one of your latest MVPs that you've added to OLX?
Maybe the best MVP that we had as of this date is what we call the offline app. So we have brand ambassadors actually going around in the entire Philippines. They're actually knocking on doors and asking people if they have something to sell. And normally, we figure out that number one, some of those people still don't know how to use the internet, so we have to teach them. And number two, some areas don't have internet connection. So that's when we realize maybe an offline app will be perfect for these guys. For these people, because we can help them list their items even though they don't have a smartphone, they don't have a internet connection, and our brand ambassadors can actually start collecting those listings. Then once they get online, that's the time that the app will automatically upload it to our site. Previously, when we still don't have the offline app, almost 50% of our interaction with our users are not converting because of the internet connection. So having that offline app, we tested it first on small events here in Metro Manila, and we figure it's really helpful, and so we roll it out to all our brand ambassadors nationwide.
I see. So it's very clear that you're still very much hands-on with OLX, even though it's almost been 10 years. What are your goals for the company moving forward? So
the vision of the company is that we wanted to improve people's lives by bringing them together into win-win exchanges. So we believe we are still far away with that, because a lot of Filipinos Number one, still don't have internet connection. Number two, we believe that in a way, we Filipinos are sentimental on the items that they have, and they don't want to let it go even though they are no longer using them. So we are educating Filipinos that actually you can improve your life by letting go of those items and maybe exchanging them into cash that you can actually use to buy other items that you need. So we still need to reach a lot of these people, and we wanted to make it a habit for every Filipino to visit OLX on a regular basis.
As an entrepreneur, how important is it to convey the social impact of your company? In the case of OLX, for example, the fact that you could generate wealth for Filipinos and help them get rid of unused items.
I believe we are now on the stage that it's no longer, we are at that stage that the brand is no longer about telling people how to buy, telling people how to sell. You're right. I believe we're already at the stage that we need to already to showcase how OLX are now improving people's lives. And moving forward, we are now going to start to feature people who are actually improving their lives, even through OLX or not.
OLX is one of the first tech companies in the Philippines to really reach this level of mass adoption. And lately, we're starting to see Grab Taxi and Uber also become popular in the Philippines. What other industries in the Philippines do you think are ripe for disruption by technology companies?
As of now, I still something that's unique in the Philippines that I believe that only a few markets globally has it, wherein that's the reason why I believe it should start in the Philippines, is that we have around 12 million OFWs outside the country, and only a few companies are actually targeting them. And I'm seeing now a few companies starting to target them, mostly payment systems. The Bitcoin has been a good service in a way of remitting money from outside the country to the Philippines. So I believe having those 12 million people will be a good market for us. I'm still seeing that the payment system here locally is not evolved, and maybe the new technologies like Bitcoin can actually help push that forward.
Can you maybe name a few companies that excite you? I'm sure it would mean a lot to the startups to get an endorsement from RJ David.
So I'm seeing, for example, Coins.ph doing Bitcoin. The guys from Satoshi Citadel Industries also doing Bitcoin. The reason why I'm excited with them, because these are really the guys who are on the cutting edge, wherein even though before Bitcoin even become popular, and as of now it's still only a few people knows about Bitcoin here, they're already on the cutting edge and ready to push that forward to the market. I'm also inspired by something like Caliber, because Caliber is one of the few companies here that was able really to raise huge funds from Class A investors that you haven't seen yet in the market. So these guys are really going to inspire the new breed of startups in the Philippines.
Nice. Going back to OLX, I know one of your huge initiatives at the company is to make sure that there's a great culture, similar to what Facebook has or what Google has. Can you maybe explain what steps you're taking to ensure that there's a great culture at the company? So
we believe the culture really start on the vision, mission, and values of the company. When we joined the OLX group and become OLX Philippines, there's also an initiative globally to push for having a single vision and mission and values for all the OLX teams. So we help and contribute a lot of that, and we already cascaded it to the team. So everything, for example, everything that we're doing in the company, it's always we're asking if, for example, for the OLX brand, is it friendly, is it genuine, is it committed? Those questions, those simple questions, can help every team member understand how is it to become a part of OLX. And as my wife, who is now who is still helping me in the business, was previously the head of operations. And now, because we figured that culture is one of the important things or important factor for the success of OLX, she recently moved to become the head of culture and values in the company. And she's just going to focus that everyone is actually living the brand of OLX.
In terms of, apart from branding, in terms of culture, how do you design your office to make sure that there's a great working culture?
In a way, for us, as of now, we believe that instead of, even though we're already online, for example, instead of doing chat, if you're collaborating with someone, instead of doing emails, so we open up more meeting rooms in the office so that people can actually collaborate. For example, I had my own room before in the office, and now it's going to be converted to a meeting room. We believe that it will be more productive if people are actually talking face to face instead of emailing everyone. So as I can what do you call this, observe, is that we are actually what do you call it? Our culture is also evolving depending on the needs and on the size of the company. So as of now, most of how we live, how we work in OLX is being reflected by the values that we have.
How large of a role is serving as the public face of the company in your day-to-day life?
It was initially difficult because honestly, I am an introvert until now. So being that face of OLX is somehow, I need a lot of energy to be able to do that. As an introvert, you know that, maybe you know that doing something like this requires a lot of energy for me, and it means I also need to recharge after this kind of things. But I believe if someone has to do it, and there's no better person to do it than the founders themselves. Then for my wife and I, we figure out it will be better if I'll be the one to be the face of OLX. And personally, it's helping me a lot to be able to get out of my comfort zone, and it helped push me on doing things that I somehow will need a lot of energy to do.
What have you learned so far in serving as the public face of OLX?
What I learned is it's actually fun. I figure out that I love answering questions, so it's easy for me to have these kinds of interviews as long as someone is going to ask me questions. I also learned for myself that I'm not really good on presentations, so I'm trying to work to be able to improve that. But I really believe that this is a way for us to send a message across to a larger audience, and without it, we won't be able to educate the people about OLX.
So the tech community in the Philippines, or the tech ecosystem, was completely different when you first started. Can you maybe share the difference between how it was 10 years ago and how you see it today?
So 10 years ago, there were really nothing in the market. Maybe during that time, we were still in Angono, Rizal. So, and I don't know anybody here in Metro Manila. Even in the case that when we need to figure out the valuation of the company, I can't even ask anyone because I don't know anyone in the industry that knows something about valuating a company. I also I didn't have a mentor during that time. So it was really difficult. So most of the things that we're doing are all in a way, we have, if we figure out we need to experiment 20 things, we need also really to experiment 20 things. And not unlike now, wherein if you think of an idea, you can just, for example, ask someone who's done it before and maybe give you an advice, and you will realize, oh, maybe it's not a good idea, or it will give you more push to do it. So I believe help now is accessible as compared before.
What were the other early challenges of OLX that you had to overcome to get to where you are today?
So the number one is that only my wife and I started with it. We have to wear so many hats. For example, I am a web developer, but I'm not a system administrator. I'm not an online marketer. That's the same with my wife. She was a programmer and she knows how to design, and that's really our forte. But doing a startup, you have to do a lot of things, and we figure out, because we don't have anybody else, we need to divide the task between the two of us. So we have to do a lot of things during that time. I have to learn system administration. I have to learn how to do online marketing. She needs to learn how to test something that I'm developing. So I think that was really difficult at the start. But the good thing is, when we started growing the company, because we did a lot of those things previously, we already know if our team members are doing the right things or not, and we were able to guide them.
In terms of regulating startups and compliance, how can the Philippine government be more supportive towards the entrepreneurial community?
I really believe that as of now, if we can get a group that's in a way an organization that's going to maybe to lobby for the benefits of startups, or to lobby some policies that can actually help startups, will be a good start. And I'm hearing that DOST is already looking at that, and hopefully that organization will form soon. Yeah.
What would you recommend as the first change that organization needs to lobby for?
During that, maybe some incentives wherein I can't think of a specific thing. Maybe some tax breaks for starting up. Maybe becoming what do you call this? Not so strict about foreign investments, for example, because a lot of foreign funds are already interested in the Philippines, and having a very strict policy around that will just hamper the growth of startups in the Philippines.
Yeah, speaking of investments, that's one of the hot topics usually with entrepreneurs. What advice do you have for Filipino entrepreneurs as it comes to funding and dealing with investors?
So I really advise to, when it's your first time, to really get an advice or get a mentor who have already done it before. It's really difficult to do it by yourself. That's number one. And number two is, if you're looking for an investor, look for an investor whose goals are aligned, whose long-term goals are aligned with yours. What I'm talking about is, some investors are very interested on flipping the company after 3 years, that they get double or triple their money back. But if you're thinking that you wanted to be in that startup for a longer time, it means your goals are not aligned. And if you get money from this guy, he will just always bug you that, hey, we will start thinking of flipping the company. So it will be a hindrance for you moving forward. So, but if you have the same alignment that after 3 years you wanted to sell your company, then maybe he's a good investor for you. But of course, don't just think about the money. Think always also of the other things that the investor can bring you. Maybe what they call this, introductions to partners, helping you on hiring good people. So sometimes it's not just the money. There are other things that investors can bring you.
In terms of a macro perspective, what can the Filipino tech ecosystem do to attract more international and regional investors into the country?
I believe we have the talent, and number two, we all speak good English. So that's a advantage of Filipinos. What I'm seeing now is that a lot of very good, for example, tech people are not joining startups because they don't understand the value of equity. As of now, what I believe, there needs to be a lot of exits, a lot of successes, especially examples wherein a normal employee, a tech employee of a startup company who exited has gotten some big rewards after. That kind of example can actually start pushing good talented people to start working with startups. So most of the problems that I'm hearing from people is that they can get good talent because of course on a startup the pay is lower than the market, but there's an exchange of equity. Some Filipinos still don't understand the value of equity because of course what's 5% of zero? It's
Right.
still zero, right? So for them it's still more important to have salaries, but they didn't understand that there's also a huge learning potential working in a startup, even that startup succeeds or not. There's a lot. So for young guys, there's a lot of things that you can learn working for a startup.
What other exciting things are going on at OLX that you'd like to share?
So I believe the exciting thing that for us now is that we are moving towards mobile, and we believe there are a lot of things that we can implement in mobile. We are experimenting on messaging platforms wherein we will make it very easy for buyers and sellers to communicate to each other.
So in addition to mobile penetration increasing, internet penetration is also increasing. But as you said earlier, a lot of Filipinos still don't have internet access. So what initiatives are you taking to bring internet access to more Filipinos?
So we are partnering with, for example, with the telcos. They have what they call this. They have projects that provide free internet. We also partner, for example, with Facebook recently with internet.org. That's providing free internet to people because we're now seeing that the cost of a smartphone is really going down and becoming accessible. The missing link now is the internet connection, and with this free internet offer from something like Facebook will be very big to push Filipinos to go online.
Now, for the entrepreneurs watching out there, do you have any final words of advice on how to reach the level that OLX?
So I really believe that if you're thinking to start something, start it now. And if you can read about the book Lean Startup and start to do MVPs, it will be very beneficial for your to be able to validate your idea.
We've been talking to RJ David, the co-founder and managing director of OLX Philippines. I'm Ezra Faraz, and thank you so much for joining us today.